Good afternoon, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Hi.
Thanks for
Hello.
joining us, Donna.
Hi there.
Good to see you.
Yeah, sorry for my lateness.
That's okay. We're glad you're here. I think we'll go ahead and start the piece here with the sharing my screen. 1 second here. It's not cooperating with me here. There we go. I got it. So we just been talking about the many different ways of being resourceful. And so this is in terms of motivation. And so, as we've been doing training, this is the third one now, and we look at the whole health minister process. And if we could look at it in a circle, so this circle repeats in many different ways. If everyone can see that clearly, do I need to make it bigger? Is it okay? I need to make it bigger. Okay.
okay.
And we sent you the handouts too. But if you start with number 1, survey and assess, plan; 2, audience; 3, logistics, budget; hold, activity, evaluate; and then reflect and refine, this whole cycle repeats itself. Okay. And so when you're doing any kind of activity like we've been talking about, whether it's, Robin writing the Apple, piece in her bulletin, or the MS thing, or even Linda doing different trainings, you're kind of always assessing where your skills are, where your congregation skills. Individual, you could do this with groups, and we went over some of the different pieces of assessment and survey before, and now we're kind of go more to where the evaluation, the 7, is. We've also talked about plan, knowing your audience, doing the logistics was the second workshop here. So this is more or less a summary, right, of like all the different trainings that we've done up to this point, but in a very simple visual, right? And I think even in life, so, as a nurse or social work, or you look in different professions, they use this model in terms of care planning, or social workers a workload, right? So we're also applying this also to health ministry in life, congregational life, your life as a health minister. And so this whole process feeds into it. And so every one of these is important because it helps us and informs us literally to know where we are, where we're going, and what our steps might be. Okay, right? So I'll stop there just to see if there's anything that jumps out to you on this visual that you might have looked at, or just what we've been talking about as we're opening up, that jumped off the page for you. Is there something that you have done? Have you done all these steps, or is this a good refresher? Is there steps that you miss sometimes, that will do the activity and then you're like, well, how did it go? How do I know it well, right? And we sent these to all of you too, the handouts.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I know
Okay.
Ayana did earlier, so
Okay.
that's it. Yeah, that's in there.
Okay.
Yep. So I mean, even as you're planning, I know Robin, as you're doing different things, it's like you might be doing these things and not even thinking about it because you've done it for so long.
Yeah. What stands out for me right now is budget and advertising. Because I have some ideas. I was running it by Ayana, and it sounds like Sharon was really on with me. And because we haven't really done anything, we had the COVID billboard out front, but I took it down because of the bad weather and stuff. But I wanted to do, I shared it with Ayana, I wanted to do a table maybe once a month or twice a month, just to get trying to advertise health ministry and just to get some new members. And we have so many new people at our church. But approaching people right now with the COVID in person is kind of difficult because everybody's asked to be outside as soon as Mass is over. And now we got to alert to somebody because we were masked for Holy Day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was there and somebody had COVID. So we have the DC alert navigator alerted us. So I'm not sure how many people are going to come back on Sunday, but Sharon and I were running and thinking about doing something like that. But we never have a budget, and advertising we can do on, in our bulletin, but the budget it's questionable. So anyway.
That is a good point though, Robin. Tom, do you have any suggestions on how people can kind of get a budget, create a budget, solicit for a budget? Uh-oh.
And Ayana, I guess I've been kind of shy about asking because I'm sure it's a budget. I'm not sure, but I think we have two really, groups at church ministries that are probably does get a little bit of money, like the Sodality. I think they get some money, and the Men of St. Teresa's. But I think they had also a cook-off a couple of years ago, so they're still running on that budget. And I think the guys put in every month or something like $5. But they haven't done any big activity, but there's a lot of them, the Men of St. Teresa's, it's probably about 25 to 30 people. And versus my ministry, we only have like maybe 8, and, they're not very active. But anyway, I want to do a table out front, like we talked about, and have and invite people. Maybe somebody out there might want to join, and maybe offer some coffee or tea and a donut or something, just to get people to get to the table.
We ain't giving no donuts, Robin. That's not what we do.
Well, apple or the kids, those little donuts. Yeah, we could do that. But I hear what she's saying. Yeah, it has to be wrapped and all that. It's COVID. Yeah. But anyway, just trying to create something. So.
Yeah. Tom, are you back with audio? Oh, boy.
We're getting a feedback.
Lots of feedback.
Which it's very choppy for me. So I'm not sure why it's choppy. Okay or no? This is an opportunity for churches to do things differently, but there's a resistance to go back to what was comfortable and normal. And what we're seeing is a lot of burnout but if it's not addressed, then what's happening with that also is people are like, I'm at a different place. I want to make sure I stay healthy and well.
Yeah.
And so that's a definite part of these dynamics, is that, of congregations doing this reflection and seeing where they come out the other side,
Yes. And
so
again,
that's
the way we used to do things, like you have announcements, you have the bulletin, you have this. I mean, we had a publication called King's Chronicle. Yep. I mean, a very lovely, maybe even 12-page, 4-color, glossy document that would come out every quarter. And because of COVID, those things aren't being produced. And, because,
right.
You don't want to do handouts, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. So again, with my conversation with Pastor today, he's really expressing that he wants to look at how we use technology better and differently to accomplish some of the things that we were doing. And as far as the congregation, everybody coming back Some people are like, I'm fine with doing virtual. I don't know if I'm coming back. Some people are coming back slowly but surely since the church has reopened. And so, we are seeing an increase there. But I think we've just got to look, COVID changed everything.
Yeah,
And we just
yeah.
have to look at it different. And we have to, as one member said too, we have got to get very creative in what we do and how we do it. If not, it's not going to work. Yeah.
So this is a good lead in to use this process to say, if you're going to try something different, you can evaluate it, see where it goes, and know what the next steps are. Another piece to this is I highlighted some different pieces here about questions that you might want to ask, right? For evaluating not just activities, but just any event. This could be for what we're talking around COVID or going back to church is, when you're doing an evaluation, the importance of that is it helps you to plan and to conduct the next step, the small step, whatever that is. And it helps you find out what your audience learned or what they were inspired by, in order to want something different, right? Many of you have talked about different things that you've implemented and then it led to something else too. Like I hear Linda was saying too, she was talking about I learned on the I was, someone was helping with the iPad, but I can't go to everyone all the time. And here I'm going to learn myself in a tutorial so I can learn to do these things, right?
Right.
So in your own way, with some of these questions here, and I won't go through all of them, but it's really like a feedback loop per se. The tool that you're trying to get here is a couple different things we're going to go over too. Is people come up to you after the event and say, hey, this was good, or Robin was talking this about, sometimes I don't know. People just say this casually, right?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe there's a more formal way to do that, or is there other ways that your church is even getting these evaluation pieces? Deborah was talking about, as we go back to COVID, from COVID to in person. Some people don't want to go back. Has the church done a survey on that of where to put their resources, right? But are we afraid to find out what we're going to find out too and make those steps? The other part of reporting or looking at and finding these questions or evaluating, it's not just the success either. It's the outcomes or next steps that you're really looking for in terms of planning or what the future direction is. So here's some sample questions. What did you like best about it? What did you like least? Whatever it is. What did you know now that you didn't know before? And we try to model this for some of, when we do these pre and post assessments for these trainings. This is exactly what we're talking about. We're trying to see where you are, and if what we've taught or worked with you on in terms of learning has improved after the workshop, right? So that's a perfect example. Would you be willing to come to a similar event? Would you recommend this event to relatives or friends? What changes would you like to make in your diet? Do you have any suggestions on how you can improve this event? How did you hear about this event? You could give a whole host of different choices and then just put other. But really what we're doing here, and this is in the highlighted areas, is you're reviewing your Planet process, that whole visual. You're seeing how things ran for the event. Again, like I said, you could talk to different organizers, different points of view, who was there, jot down their comments, make a few notes when it's happening, if it's an event in real time, or have someone else who's an observer be some eyes and ears for you too, and get their feedback. These are all just different ways to do and highlight why it's important to do evaluation. Does that all make sense? Or what do people think of that? Again, you might think of this I'm going through the formal steps of this, And many of you maybe do it informally. So the other part was with a certificate. We did a pre and post. And for instance, when we heard that people had difficulty after the certificate, this is a great example, implementing what they learned because it was too intense, right? We put mentors in there. We put mentors in the certificate, so that people could have an opportunity to talk to someone about how to integrate what they're learning. See what I'm saying? There's a change there based on participant feedback. Any questions or observations at all? Welcome, Sharon. I see that you joined us too, so.
Oh, Sharon's on?
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions or observations? So here is a sample.
I'm Sarah, and we found a house and it was.
So here's a sample that you've all filled out, the satisfaction survey. Do you all remember this? Doing this? Did this program meet your needs? And so you could even do it with, if you have a population also that might speak different languages, you might want to use something like this, or this changes it up too, of kind of like how satisfied with the program. What did you learn? Will what you learn in this program help you improve health? How confident are you making a change in your behavior? And then how satisfied are you with the program you attended overall? Again, you see that, you want to keep it simple too, with the different survey, but also capture. So we've had 5 questions that we ask you before each of the workshops or so. And then one that says, do you have any other suggestions or so, to give you, voice to those that might not fall within those parameters. So just to give you an example, right? So what are ways that you currently review or do your current evaluations for some of your activities? Do you do any of this at all?
Well, let me see. At Pilgrim Rest, we'll not use it. We don't have any paper in any format. It's everything. We get an email. Our bulletin is sent to us via email. So to do something like this, that would be a good question on how we get it done. I'm sure Ms. Mary could probably answer it better because she worked close to the pastor. But it definitely, at this point, I could say it would not be because we passed out a piece of paper to someone. I guess it would have to be another way of getting it done because he's not doing anything like that. No type of bulletin or papers are being passed out in the church at this time because it's COVID.
Yes, so an electronic version of this might be Survey Monkey or Google Forms too. Do you do that? Do you do that at all?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. So yeah, that's a good question to bring back and think about. Robin, go ahead, Deborah, go ahead.
We talked about that as well, like to do a survey. How do we do it now? Because it's not like we could have it in the bulletin or, pass it out to people. We've done surveys before, as people were leaving, service or whatever, and that's all changed. So then how do we do it? And again, we have our congregation, there are a lot of seniors. So to send them an email, a lot of our seniors don't do email. Exactly. They may be, watching service now via Zoom, or they may be doing it via the conference call line. But to get this out to folks, and maybe we could mail it to them, because we are going to be, our activity that we're doing with Pastor Will and Ayana, we're going to be doing a mailing. So maybe it is something we could mail to them, but then how do we get it back? And there you have postage, put in the envelope, send it back. So there's just got to be an easier way, or just rethink how we do it in a format that's going to get the return that you're looking for.
Yeah,
we need a format for us, Tom. Yeah. We need a form like what you used earlier for us. We need something like that where if it's a Zoom call, like a business meeting or something, and everybody's on Zoom, and at the end, they need to be able to answer a survey. Like you were able to put it up, right?
Oh, okay.
And
Yep.
Yeah, we could totally do a tutorial of how to do that, Linda. It's pretty easy in Zoom to make your own polls.
Okay, let me do the Zoom tutorial first, and then
Okay, I'll come back to you when you got that.
Yeah, girl, I'm gonna be working on that part next week.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
But I like that idea though. That's good.
Yeah, and Zoom just added new features such as whiteboards and new features. So Linda, what you're talking about is really important. I'm gonna just drag over just something real quick too, just so you see like what does a massive like, I don't know, visual. So as you recall from the faith community or the certificate, this is what the readiness survey of like 400 people looks like on pie charts. I'll make it a little bigger here. Sorry about that.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
So like how long has a health ministry been in existence? How does your health ministry serve? How often does a health ministry team meet? I think, and then you can see like different data of like guiding where things are, right? I'm going to go down here to the end of it because it has some really important things. How has a congregation done a needs survey ever? Never. 61%. Even a baseline, right? This is initially, so this is just data from that. But then even partnerships, so you get down here at the end. Sorry, communication wise too. Are there regular reports? So I'm showing you that even reporting the church leadership, it's not applicable, 60%. There's no real formal way to like guide or communicate of knowing what report like on a regular basis. Okay. And then here's the part with the funding and the budget part. 52% do not have a budget, over half. Here's worship services. Let me go down to the partnerships here. 44% do not have a partnership with any healthcare institution, research at all, or medical center educational institution. 70% said no. So the other part of this is also where do we get help from, right? How do we look at the relationships to grow beyond? I just show those pie charts because that helps to guide our work, and we show like why the importance of health ministry is to have trained people and then also be these connectors in the community, right? There's good evidence to why that's there. That's 400 respondents, okay? Any questions at all on that? I think, Linda, you were also referring to, I had in the health minister certificate a sample like reporting form. It was pretty complicated. It was pretty complicated in some ways, but I could share that also.
Okay.
With everybody. I have that, and I could, share that, in terms of if you wanted to adjust it or look at it. But one of the things that we found with that was everybody was interested in just helping, just out of their faith. And that reporting and data, it was hard because people weren't interested really in numbers and anything else. Okay. But what helps you is to know that it's not only with the comments that people make and the feedback, but numbers do help to guide it. Both of those things together help you to get the information you need. Again, back to that visual with the circle,
Exactly.
So, yeah. So this is kind of like we're pulling into the specifics, but then pulling out, right? And if you keep a I don't know, a survey like this very simple, even a little bit will give you a lot, right? So that's really important. But if you don't do it at all, then you run into issues because you're like, well, what do I do next? What is the guiding part here, right? So I'll stop there and just kind of take any questions or observations from everyone. Does anyone else have any specific ways that, so are you all, you don't do any evaluation or reporting at all? Formal? I mean, it's more informal is what I'm hearing from feedback when we first opened up.
Are you talking about even prior to COVID or just after COVID?
Yeah, I would say let's do after COVID because we are where we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think before COVID, it sounds like you did have something in place.
Yeah,
right?
We did. We were giving out these surveys and stuff at the end. I'm curious though, as I've spoken, because I have not returned to church, and I have asthma real bad. Me and my daughter both. So at the clinics, I normally don't go. So I'm not sure what
They
do.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they do have a paper survey at the clinics.
Okay.
Just kind of getting feedback on how the process was and what they can do any better. Yeah.
Okay, so I was just saying, thinking of that as I spoke up.
And
Thank
for
you.
our walk with these, we
Thank
have no problem. And the walk with these that we're doing, we have a virtual survey that we send out as a link.
Right.
But, yeah. What else?
Seems like the virtual works so quickly because once they answer, then we got our information, and they don't have to be. It probably could be separated in a spreadsheet, I guess, with the right formula, but you don't have to take all the papers and tally it in there. So that probably would be more efficient in this season. What'd you say about 5 years? Starting with COVID, at least 5 years out, it'll be before people really get comfortable in the new either wearing masks or not wearing them.
Yeah, and I mean, when you go to a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment, you do a pre-screening, on your phone and all this other stuff for COVID, right? So people are somewhat getting used to these kind of, they also are a type of survey, to be honest with you. But I think the other part is maybe there's QR codes. Like, so if everyone has a phone, instead of using paper, maybe there's a way to kind of like scan a QR code also and then fill it out.
Maybe everybody should have one. We have it on our key ring or something, so it'll just go ahead and identify us, and then we go ahead on and that'd be something to think about. Like you say, it's a brand new process. It's going to be a new process, as Deborah said, going into this on how we can make this happen. I'll be thinking as you're talking how to implement that into this COVID environment.
Yeah. And you're right. A lot of people have gone paperless in a lot of places. So,
but to be honest, in some places, even before COVID, I know when I've gone in to check in, we checked in on the computer at the hospital center. When I've gone into doctor's office, so they give you that little. Some of them give you a little tablet to check in. So,
right.
Well,
exactly.
For us, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, for us, we have been we've been registering our parishioners at the door with the COVID questionnaire. Have you been vaccinated? So Easter, that whole week, especially Saturday and Sunday, we had so many people, and Sharon and I worked the door. And so we have sanitized pens, ink pens, and we have paper. So I'm not sure if that was how somebody had COVID, but so I'm thinking that, because Sharon and I had been talking, and I like the old fashioned face-to-face, because we do have at least 50 to 60 or 70 people coming to church on Sundays. But most of them are new. And we may be able to find new members through just having a table outside and asking some of those questions for evaluation. How do you, how can you see health ministry? What are you looking for in a health ministry or something like that? And But I also think if we ask for something, maybe 2 questions or something, I want to give them something, even if it's an apple, want to give them something, to gravitate them to the table. So we're still working on that, Sharon and I.
And Robin, that's good. To start somewhere is just the best way, right? And that's good. That's good, because the other part to this is that what you find out once you report back to them is super important also, because then it shows that you value the feedback and input that they took the time, right? So having that as a follow-up is very, very important, So, hey, maybe that could be an apple corner, right?
So,
We need your feedback. We need your feedback, right?
That's good.
So it's good to let people know how you're doing and checking in and let us know what's going on, right?
Okay.
It's not just us talking at you, or sharing information. It's a two-way street. We want to know, well, are you been touched by this? Send an email to such and such,
Yeah.
to let us know. Yeah.
That's a great idea. Yeah. And I can always have a basket of apples right there.
Yeah.
Give it away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
That sounds good.
Yeah. What I'd like to do now is, and we kind of went through this, is there anyone else who wants to share about their current methods of health ministry, or was what we talked about pretty much cover what we, where you're all at, that it's been in flux? I just wanted to give people the time and space before we took a 5-minute bio break, and then we're going to do a 5-minute fitness to kind of like wake us up, move us around a little bit. So 5 minutes of just a bio break, and then just come back in 5 minutes, and then I just got a few more things, but I just wanted to leave some space here for all of you to mention if there's anything else that you have for your own evaluation methods for health ministry.
That's it for us, Pilgrim Rest.
I think the other thing that Deborah mentioned, just as an observation, was that for the longest time, I think at First Rock, Deborah, it was difficult to see, whether things would change, or if there was an openness, right, to some things that might be different. And so you finally got that sign, to say, hey, we're open to this, right? So even that's a part of this process is, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and don't get caught up in the whole, it's almost like, the church was caught up in trying to return to normal, doing the same things that were we could get caught up in that too with evaluation and reporting. And until something happens, overall, that might change things completely, that's also important to recognize.
Right.
It might make an impact. And COVID definitely did that to all of us. So. And it doesn't move in a straight line. That's the other part, the important thing. It doesn't go from A to B. It might take one church 3 months, 6 months, a year, right? That's another important part of this, that it's going to go based on all the other factors. Other health ministers, you've talked about, Linda did with Mary. You're going to share that information with her. Is the congregation super active? Is it not? Is it just getting back? Does it have new members like you're mentioning, Robin, right? All of these are different factors that you're going to be different in this process. So these are just different angles. We're going to take a break because I have to leave we're going to leave about 20 minutes here for Robin and Ayana at the end. And I want to make sure that I honor that. So let's come back at, what time is it now?
7:39.
7:39. We're going to come back at 7:40. 7:44. Okay?
All right.
7:44, 7:45, okay?
Okay.
5-minute break, and then stretch break with Ayana. Stretching with Ayana. So okay, so go ahead.
Damn.
That was good. All right, here we go. I love the old time TV there, Linda. That's the best.
Thank you, Tom.
You know what?
Yeah.
And that's all about exercise too, because there was no remote. You had to get up and turn the channel.
Yeah,
Or you sent the kid to go turn the
that's what I
channel.
was going to say. That was our exercise because the kids had to do it.
Hey, go change that channel right there. Hold up.
Mhm.
All right, now don't change the channel on us here for the next 40 minutes. You need to stay with us, okay? All right, good. So I'm going to try to hand this over in plenty of time to my colleagues here. So I'm sharing my screen again here, and this is a quarterly report that we used to do here. This was done voluntarily. Again, data that would cover a quarter, and you could do this. This was our attempt to try to get information from health ministers to see how impactful. So there was a year, a quarter, January to March, or any of the other ones there. And then you scroll down here and say, okay, what kind of commitment is clergy? What kind of support does your faith community have for it? This would all be subjective, but it would give us a way to figure out what are the challenges or barriers in implementing, right? So this is all subjective feedback that we're getting. Okay, now here you get into numbers. Total number of congregants served. This means you got to take some time to think about, well, how many people? Robin said, for instance, she's got 5 or 6 people she's doing this MS thing right? The fundraiser. So you could say, which comes down here, how many of the number of hours? Have you ever even planned this, of how many hours it takes for meetings, planning, providing activities, and then how many people you served, right? Here's another important part. Paid. If you are paid in your role, indicate paid or unpaid. How many hours are you paid? So again, you get data to say, how many charitable hours have you done with this work? And then you can hand this to your pastor and say, look, I spent over 30 hours a week on this program for 2 weeks, So you put that in this report for the first quarter, for whatever 3 months. You have all these reports together. You say, all right, here's what I've been doing these last couple of times. And it becomes then a conversation piece, Number of people referred to community resources. Do you keep track of that at all? How many people do you say you have a common conversation, say, well, they needed a resource to hospice or palliative care or a hospital or an education program? All that can be tracked, right? Number of people referred to congregational resources. What about another ministry, right? Have you referred somebody there? Okay. So these are hardcore data. This is what we call a combination of qualitative and quantitative data. So quality is the written part, the storytelling part, and the quantity is the numbers. What's in the numbers? And most healthcare organizations or partners, they always want to know, well, what numbers are you putting out? How many people are you serving, right? Just to give you an idea, funders are always looking for that, but they're always looking for the stories. So this evaluation is a combination of both of those things. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, we're talking about reporting. I'm giving you an example, concrete example, and pointing out the different elements, trying to dissect, hey, you remember how in biology class you'd take and dissect something? This is the same kind of thing here. We're taking it apart, looking at it, and seeing what are the important components. Tell your story or share your health ministry story. What can you share one story in the past 3 months? So remember theological reflection in the certificate? This is exactly what this is. Where is God working in all this? Okay. Self-care. How have you taken care of yourself this past 3 months? Describe a story about your or interaction that you had. Again, don't use real names to protect privacy, but here's storytelling, right? How you're making an impact. And then here's how the methods that you've been communicating to people in your congregation. This might be something to look at now in terms of surveys or relook at, or with as we're talking, instead of going paperless, maybe there's some different things we need to add in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Collaboration. Who are you working with? Check all that apply. Do you need additional training and support for health ministry? And this is where I come in. I would say, well, I'd look at all these different reports and I would say, all right, we need a special symposium on caregiving. Mental health has been a topic for the past 6 weeks. Everyone's been bringing this up. Additional training and support. Who's the audience, right? Get back to the circle. Donna or maybe Pastor Will or Mary at the food bank would be like handing out things, and they can hand us this. Now you would have a little bit shorter survey with this, right? Because someone's not going to stay here, but this was more meant for health ministers. That was the target audience. And see, it covers a 3-month period, so it's a little bit longer, but I think it is only, yeah, it comes with 6 pages, but you'd have to cut this down. You have to say, well, no, I can't do this. What's a duplicate? What's a duplication? Take that out. But just an example, okay? So these are ways of basic reporting, and you got this. And the main purpose is to track progress, goals, and assess if outcomes are met. Okay, that's the main part. And I went through here, we do the most important work of doing the activities, but we really want to know is, have we made an impact, right? And that's the balance of this, because our faith, we did a focus group, and Deborah was part of this early on in Heal the Sick. And one of the things we found out was people were more interested in just the stories and just serving. They weren't interested in the numbers. But what I'm trying to show you is that the numbers are important, the stories are important. But you have to have a way to get at those, right? And we don't know where we're going to go unless we have some of these things to help guide us. You remember on the bowling alley where there was the bumpers, right? And they put them up, These are kind of like the bumpers on the side to keep the ball going down to hit the pins, right?
I like that.
So
analogy.
here's quantity.
I like that.
Thanks.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the quantitative data. Surveys, gathering health statistics, reporting numbers. I had a master's of public health student that helped me put this together some years ago. And she was like, it's so hard to communicate why information or data, these big terms, quantitative, qualitative, this is really what they mean. We're breaking it down. And you got this in your handouts too that Ayana sent, okay? Interviews with community members, focus groups, observations, those are all quality. You're getting the story, the description of what's going on from people. And then the hardcore data is right there. Surveys, knowledge, behaviors, attitudes, skills. They could be multiple choice, true and false. And if you need help, I have surveys or sample surveys, which are paper ones that if you wanted to see those, I could send you those. I went over one too, just as a kind of side note there. But the other important part that we've been talking about tonight is pastoral support, right? The pastor or group of leadership, senior leadership at your churches want to know this. They want to know even how COVID or maybe they're burnt out. Maybe they're trying to figure out what are the next steps. This is important even for health, not only for health ministry, but the congregation at large. And so that's really important. Spend time with your leader. your faith leader. I mean, we mentioned this tonight. Deborah had this wonderful example with Pastor Minter. But it could be any one of your pastors. It could be at the food bank with Pastor Will. You got to meet with leadership and talk to them and see what's going on. What are their concerns, right? It takes work. The other part of this is that by doing all this, you can obtain and also sustain your work, maybe with funding, grant funding or something else, right? Because you can show the impact that you're having. You could show your pastor, you could show your whoever your decision makers are at your congregation, you know, your board, your pastoral advisory board or whoever, right? This is what I've been doing. This is the resources I've been gathering. Here's the information I can share with you, right? So those are really, really important things. I'm going to stop there though, and just get your feedback. I kind of went over a lot of information because we got started late, but I tried to weave it in some ways in a natural way with not only with our conversation, but covering the information that we wanted to cover for this evening, and give Ayanna and Robin some time to go over the toolkit and highlight some of these areas, and frankly just reinforce what we've done over the past 3 trainings and how to use that toolkit to your advantage. That's another piece that we're going to go over this evening. Any questions or things that pop out at you? Are you tired?
Not at all.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I have to be,
Good.
yeah, but this is nice, Tom. Thank you for sharing. I see some, I like the survey part because I'm really work on a survey, not a whole, you know, like you had the 4 or 5 questions, but just maybe 2 questions just to see where everybody's at as far as, you know, coming into something and involving with the health ministry, maybe, you know, online or in the courtyard, because we, you know, the weather is better now, so we can kind of meet in the courtyard. So I'm already thinking about how I can do that. And Sharon is really good with giving out food to the congregation outside. She's always has a box of something available and people come to her. So she's not saying anything. Sharon? Anyway.
I'm here.
Okay, I'm talking about your ministry with giving out the food.
Oh,
in
yeah.
front of the church.
I have something to say too about the survey. I remember when I did my course with the seminary. And I love that study, that survey, and I took it to Father Ray, and he answered and he responded, and he's very interested. But since that time in COVID, and Father Ray is ever so busy.
Yeah.
Ever so busy that he's, I don't want to say he's never there, but the church offices had no heat all winter. So
wow.
It's like hard to touch with everyone. But what you said about this survey, I would like to take this survey up the street, around the corner, to Martha's Table, where they have other things. I touched bases with Martha's Table on Palm Sunday because they had tables up by the big chair on every Sunday. But we have a split, I hate to say this, but we have a split congregation. We have a congregation more than trifold. Senior citizens, people that don't come, quadfold. Middle-aged people, young people, and young white people, okay? We have a 9:30 Mass, and now that it's warmer, we have an 11:30 Mass. The 11:30 Mass, most of these people don't come to 9:30. They go to 11:30. They're either white or mixed couples. They go to the 9:30 Mass, and they all have young children. So there is somehow to reach out to the people with young children, because our church is becoming different. The old
Mhm.
people are either not coming, or I'm sorry to say, we're getting old and we're dying. So we have to incorporate these new people. So I've been out and reached out, like Robin said, to books and toys and things, and I'll go around the whole neighborhood and give bananas to dogs and, toys and fruit and vegetables to the people that live up the street. So I would like to have something that would include families with young children, because it's
Yeah.
got to start with the young children. And then getting them involved, then they can get involved. They can involve the children in the neighborhood, because I've seen them playing together, even children that don't belong to the church. So I know these couples are faithful because they're at church every week. They don't intermingle, and maybe because of COVID, they talk with
Yeah.
me, but I talk with everybody. I don't meet any strangers. Hey, you come here. I got something to tell you. I've got something to give you. Let me ask you this. So I think another one of those surveys, even if not online, on paper,
On paper, yeah.
and we can
Yeah.
give it away
Yep.
and get it back, because it wouldn't be that hard for them. It's something simple, one sheet, fill it out right here,
Yeah.
right now. And
Yeah,
I'm sure
Sharon,
Father Ray
Sharon.
wouldn't mind. Yes.
Yeah, you bring up a lot of interesting things just by going through. So basically what you were doing was the observation piece, which was wonderful. You were really illustrating the qualitative piece of who's coming to what service, and changes within the community. But the other part of this is your hospitality, right?
Yes.
And way that you are expressing your faith, right?
Yes.
That's so here is these observations, but this wonderful piece of you incorporating your faith, right? And that's what's special about health ministry, to be honest with you, is some people might take that differently in a defensive position, to say like, oh, they're taking over my name. The welcoming attitude that you are giving and seeing is a gift. It's a gift. It is a gift. And that's wonderful to have that. And I think just by your pure example of doing that,
Yes.
is just, it's a witness, right? So that's really important. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I thank you for mentioning that, and because that's in between all the lines of these things, right? So, I'm trying to paint a picture, but you have the colors, you have the palette, it's a blank canvas in some ways, but the canvas is already starting to take shape. You can see things already which are happening. What I want you to do is take this information, sit with it, think about it critically. You have others. So, for instance, Donna and Deborah are working together. Same thing with Linda and Mary Douglas Brown. You can share your different thoughts with people. If you come up with a survey, share it with other people, get their feedback, right? Those are just different methods that you can do too to test out these ideas and say, well, not just with a pastor. You could say, can you look at this and give me some feedback, on this? I'm thinking about this. What do you think? Those kinds of things, right? That way it gets over the fear factor, but we got to start someplace. That's what also I think the which I'm going to close with, because I want to make sure with my time that I want to give over to Ayana and Robin is be open to change and start simple. 2 questions is enough. Start there and see where things go. Something is better than nothing. It's going to help guide you and lead you in this direction. So I hope this was digestible in a lot of ways, and manageable and not overwhelming. But these are the things too that through the certificate were hard to pull together, because only when you start out and try do you get into these things. And so that's why this training's been super important. And I've been super excited about being with all of you as we do this. And of course, as another way, we're continuing our networking Zooms, you know, into the foreseeable future, with support and resources. So I encourage you to connect with those on every other Friday. We're connecting again because we took a break for Good Friday, our last meeting, but we'll be meeting tomorrow from 11 to 12:15. So, and those are recorded too. So, any other feedback before I give, I'm at my time here to give the last 20 minutes to Robin and Ayanna.
Thank you for motivating us, Sharon and I. So we're going to, as soon as we finish, maybe this weekend, Sharon, Sunday, we're going to get together and see what date we're going to do the table out front and see what we're going to do with that.
Okay, Robin.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Inspiring us, yeah, to put the blueprint out there and the first step, because we have to start somewhere.
Yeah, and you're not alone. If you have a question, email,
Okay.
Robin or Ayanna or myself or all three of us. And another, that's part of reaching out. I have emails like that all the time that people say, hey, do you have a survey? Do you have this? After doing this for a while, I'd love to share that with you.
Okay, so we'll just come up with the date and then we'll reach out to you all with because I'll just put two questions together and see what you all think. And
absolutely,
then we'll just go from there. But probably maybe the first week in May or sometime in May, we're going to start.
Okay.
We'll see where it goes.
All right, Ayanna and Robin, I turn it over to you.
All right. The point. Thank you, Tom. My application just went weird. Okay, so I really just wanted to go over the toolkit with you guys. I want to take the time to go through some of the sections and answer any questions and just kind of, as Tom was saying, related back to what all these 3 trainings have really been about. It's been pretty great. In general, have you guys looked through the toolkit other than a flip through? Have you looked at it? Because if you haven't, that's fine. That's okay. Anyone looked at it?
No.
Yeah, I have. I looked at it the other day. It was nice. That's why I was giving you a comment. I thought it was nice. I mean, I didn't really study it, but I looked at it a couple of steps. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
No problem.
Well, I thought I would be surprised.
Yeah, well, I got to give you yours Saturday. So, cool, excellent. I have it up here as the PDF version to go through some sections here. So this is the front page as we see, but the table of contents is really where we want to, focus on what we need this for. In general, this toolkit can be used for anything, right? If there's just questions that you might have, if you're kind of like, how did we do that assessment that one time? If you're, what website did we use to host a meeting, whatever, that's all here, right? So you use it as you need it. You can share it as you need it. And it's something to lean on. It's broken into some major sections, the introduction and executive summary. Establishing the strong foundation. This is all about how we built our health ministries over the last 4-ish years, not built, but maybe refined over the last 4 years. There's the assessment and the planning. These are kind of going in detail about all those assessments that we've done in the past, the windshield wiper test, the environmental scan, the congregational assessment, and making an action plan. And some of the newer ones, people, I guess, Sharon, Donna, Linda, I guess, this might be kind of new because you didn't come through this part with us, but go ahead and listen. Sorry for the squeaks. My dog is still trying to get my attention. Okay. Then we have the health promotion programming section. This is literally the programs that we've been putting on. So Walk with Ease, blood pressure, the health Healthy for Life program that we all did, right? This section has examples of things just like we've done and other things that might be interesting to your congregation. And then at the very end, we have a section about evaluation. So this is exactly what Tom was saying. How do we kind of take the pulse of our congregations to know what are the main issues or main topics that people want to hear more about, right? Because we might think we might know what people need, but it might not be it. As Sharon was saying, if the congregation is changing, people are coming in, you know, there's younger people coming in, they might not want to hear about arthritis. So we got to ask them. That's the best way to do it, right? All right, so I'm just going to go over a couple of sections here. I'm going to stop at the section that we're going to talk about. So don't get seasick as I scroll. Let's see. Going all the way down to the assessment and the planning section. Might make this a little bit smaller if I can. And it won't let me. Okay. So the assessment and the planning tools. Again, lean on other health ministers to help you with some of the parts that you aren't comfortable with. It's important that you offer programs, again, that your congregation needs. You can always talk to people, you know, it doesn't have to be a formal assessment as Tom was kind of talking about. It can just be, hey, what do you think we should be doing as a health ministry? What would you like to see? Be super informal and just taking notes for yourself, right? And yeah, I think I want to end with that part. Trying to go through my notes, see what else I want to say. So each of these sections just have a little write-up about what you should be looking for. There is a full appendix of the full surveys that we've done. So if you need to do it again, you can literally like rip it out of the, maybe not rip it, maybe like scan it out of the back of your book and use it all over again, right? So I guess quick question to you guys. So what challenges do you find when trying to figure out what the congregation really needs and wants? And how have you done this in the past? How have you gotten an idea of the direction you want to go with offering a program? That makes sense. Like
everything for us is before COVID. You know, we had a really successful health fair, and preparing for the health fair, just like Tom said, we put so many hours into it. And once we had everything set up, it was just so amazing that we had so many men, and we had somebody from Georgetown talk about prostate cancer, and we had at least 13 guys in the audience, and everything was outside. So, and then we had the Heart Association coming, and we had, you know, booths, and the dental care from Howard. So it was really successful. We didn't know it was going to be so, you know, active and so well attended, because we had at least 40 people. I don't know if Sharon remembers. I don't think Sharon was in our health ministry at that point.
I wasn't in the health ministry then.
But I don't think so, because this was like 2018.
No, but you had an awesome meeting when we were meeting downstairs.
Yes, we used to have.
And you had that lady that had the heart attack.
Yes.
Come in and speak, and that was absolutely awesome. You had a full house down there.
I did, 30 people at least. So, yeah.
She did a tremendous job.
We had nice health ministry before the pandemic, you know, but.
And how did you find, or did you ask people what they wanted to see, and like what speakers you wanted to bring?
Well, no, because I think we went with every month, like Heart Association month, and
so
diabetes month, and breast cancer. We had wonderful breast cancer presentation from Breast Cancer Society, or, you know, the Cancer Society. Then we had Phil Lucas, which he passed in 2020. We just miss him so dearly. He had, Dr. Lucas had grief and whatever mourning. And we did that at Christmas time, and we probably had about 50 people in attendance. So we had a really nice health ministry before the pandemic. So
you'll get there again. You'll get there again.
Yeah.
It might not look the same, but you'll get there again.
Yeah.
Well, for us over at Pilgrim Rest, prior to the COVID, I think the only one that I really participated in was in the domestic violence. And that was one of the last ones that we actually had in-house. But I do know that Miss Murray, we always had in-house, like she said, something every month on a different topic, breast cancer, autism, just something every month prior to. And like I said, the last in-person one we did on domestic violence, and that was well attended. And we did surveys and asked people and collected them to see what they wanted to hear and different things like that. After COVID, we've still been doing them Zoom. Well, I know we've done mental health. And again, every Sunday we present something at church. Sometimes it's a person that's I guess you could say what the media just kind of bring them into it, but well, most of the time it's the person that's actually there and they do a presentation. But we've had Zoom mental health and a few other different ones via Zoom. So, and I'm assuming we'll continue to go with that. We just had a different council support one this past Saturday. So we'll go forward with whatever we have, listed for that period.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and remember Tom's last training, he shared the national observances with us, right? The national health observances. So we have that whole document where it hyperlinks out to which page and it has all of them for each month. So we can always refer back to that if we need some inspiration for what we're going to do. Perfect. Yeah. Boom. That's what I like to hear. I wanted to point us to the health promotion programming section. So again, these are just the programs that we've done. This is on, if you can turn to your hymnals to page 8. I just wanted to say that verse 8, no, I'm kidding. Okay, so it has the program, it has a summary of what the program is, and then the conditions that it kind of addresses. So we have walk with ease up there, an arthritis foundation exercise program, fine, fit, and fabulous, etc. We have different examples of programs that you can try yourself. And if you hover over the program title, that'll hyperlink you out to, I won't do it right now, that will take you to a link to the actual page. You can learn more. It might bring you straight to the page where, they'll tell you how to formulate your program. So it's really, really self-explanatory, right? Obviously you can't, click on it while it's a hard copy book. That's not, you can't do that, unfortunately, but that's why we all have the PDF. So you can always hyperlink out, you can link out. So yeah, and then I have a meditation one here. I know that mental health is hot topic, right, for all of us. The meditation takes us to an article, I believe, for meditation apps. And then different various types of meditation techniques. If you want to click on those, they'll show you that. So one thing I wanted to point out, I guess, also with this section, the health promotion programming section, is what Tom has already showed us. I want to say that it was the first training where he talked about the pop bang explosion. So you can have programs, they don't have to be full-blown walk with ease programs. They don't have to be like multi-week programs. They can just be a pop, just a little, just something, we're gonna tell you something about health, just a little blurb. They can be a bang, maybe that's the apple of the week, right? Just a little, and then I'm gonna lead you on to something else. Stay tuned. Or it can be an explosion, a full-blown program that we've all done, that we've all tried throughout this Faithfully Fit time together. But the pressure isn't there, right? Because Tom showed us how to make just a little message, and something just small will sometimes can go really big, right? It can go really far. Our newsletters that I send out each month, that can be just a little pop, right? It has links out to different other resources It has some information that maybe people aren't aware of, and then it has recent COVID information, which changes daily these days. So yeah, that's always a resource for you guys, right? Boop, bop. Okay, so I'm scrolling down, don't get seasick, to the technology section. So there's if you turn to your hymnals to page 10 and 11, at the very bottom, there's offering programs virtually section. Here in table 2, we kind of outline all the websites that we know of that we think are pretty good for either communication or what did I say? Communication or organization, or both, which is mostly both or communication, quite honestly. So there's the name of it. These won't take you anywhere. These are not hyperlinked. These are not linked to anything, but I mean, they're pretty easy websites to type in yourself. We have the name of the program, the website, and then what it's used for. Communication, excuse me, and collaboration, yeah. So, or both, which is only communication or both, really. So, you know, on here, boom, Zoom, we use that, we good with that now. We're pros. That can be used for both communication and collaboration. GroupMe in our Walk With These group, we use that. That can be for both collaboration and for communication. So, so yeah, this is kind of a good little table just to keep in mind if you want to try out the links and see if you can learn anything new. I highly encourage that. And registration. This one always is an issue, not always, it can be an issue for people. How do you get people registered and getting them into your program? So this little section, hymnals, page 11, the bottom, helps us kind of frame how we can set up registration for our meetings or for our programs. We further go into some shared accounts. A lot of these images might be familiar. So we have like a Gmail account, or we have the YouTube link, a shared drive for Google Drives. And it just have a little explanation about how we use them. Sorry, how we use them. Okay, and then at the very end, sir, stop, please stop now. Okay, at the very end, we have evaluation, what Tom has been talking about. Let's see. So yeah, some of our evaluation tools here, our health habits survey. Well, if you guys remember, we did this, I want to say 2020, when we had you guys reach out to your congregation, and we combined all of those responses. We gave you back little summary sheets that said kind of what people were thinking. That full survey is in the back if you ever want to do that again, right? And we give some tips here, aiming for at least 25 to 50 people. So you get a little bit of splattering of people, you know, maybe not 12, you know, a little bit more if you can. Satisfaction survey, what we just talked about, having some type of scale of how people felt about the program or whatever you want to ask them about. Something very simple. And then, yeah, then at the end, we just have a quick summary. So I'm gonna scroll down to show a couple more pieces, and then we can start to wrap this up. So in the appendix, it shows FAQs, how can we use this toolkit? Again, we have all of the assessments that we've ever done. The Faith Community Health Assessment Survey, it's all here, exactly how we did it. Community windshield wiper walking tour, lots of W's, how we did it, and how you can do it again. Here's that Faith Community Health Survey with the emojis. Scrolling down, we have an action plan if you ever need to use this again. Our health habits survey that we did in 2020, and the satisfaction survey that we just saw today. So it's all here. It's all at your fingertips, hard copy, and now PDF. So yeah, I really encourage you guys to take a look at this at some point. Oops, I don't want to do that. Take a look at it at some point, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you. Are there any overall questions about the toolkit or its usage or anything that I can answer before we kind of wrap up? Or if Robin needs to add anything to anything else. Like she might want to say.
No, good summary, Ayana. And yeah, it's kind of serendipitous how the chunks of the toolkit match the trainings that Tom put together. So we really just wanted this to be a resource that you all can refer back to for years and years to come. Not have to try and rely on your memory. I know that's hard for all of us. I can't remember what I had for lunch. But just hoping that this is a nice guide or reference for you to say, you know what, if I want to do like you're not starting from scratch, you don't have to pull out the Google and as if you've never done this before. You all have the tools in your heads and in your hearts at this point, and this is just a good way of referring back. So we believe in you. We know you're going to keep it going. We know this is just 2.0 or 3.0 of your health ministry, and there's many new iterations to come, and everyone's adapting to new everything all the time. So hopefully it's just something to help you along the way.
Nice, definitely. Okay, so just I'm gonna kind of move towards the end, Tom, at the final-ish piece. I'll say more. Robin, leave me alone. McClave, not Willis. Sorry, she's laughing at me.
Ayana's dog hates my voice, so when I talk,
he really does.
Extra,
he's like, make her stop. Okay, so I will mention this more later in our one-on-ones and when we kind of meet up. But start thinking of like success stories throughout our time together with Faithfully Fit. We're not ending like tomorrow, but we're just saying, kind of keep it in your back of your mind, maybe a brief story, a testimony, right? About your health ministry and if things have changed or whatever, we would love to hear it. That would be helpful for us and our funders, of course. Yeah, and so by the end of our time together, probably September-ish, we're going to all get together and recognize all the amazing accomplishments that we've done so far, or that we've done together. And yeah, time to brag, a time to lift up, praise, and just pats on the back, virtual pats, of course. So just stay tuned for that. We're gonna have more details as we get closer to September, I think. And I guess, Tom, if you wanted to wrap it up, put a nice little bow, boom, bam, the floor is yours.
Well, I think, I want to thank everybody for hanging with us. And I think the video will also be available for those who couldn't make it so they can see this. But, I just appreciate all of you and what you do and who you are. And I just want to say that, and, I've enjoyed kind of exploring the further ins and outs of health ministry with all of you, but it's all about the relationships. And so I said, the networking, that's going to be there. I mentioned that. And also my email. So if you want to reach out and connect, that's important. So I just want to make sure that there's a way for all of you to know that you're in this together. And the only thing left we have to do is the post a survey, which is the really end piece here, to find out what your thoughts were, and some questions will include. Remember to scroll down, because there's a few additional questions about the entire training, I believe, itself, that will help us to know how it went. So I appreciate you all doing that now. There's a little scroll bar down on the right-hand side, a total of 9 questions. So go ahead and do that and fill that out.
feel like we need like music, like
Yeah.
or something. Okay.
All of you are very amazing. That's for sure. I mean, especially from just hearing your stories of resilience and adaptation to change. It's just amazing. So it's very inspiring. And I could definitely say, you know, I could probably show this too really quick here while you're all filling out your surveys. Let me see here. So one of the things I wanted to show you, this was Mary Douglas Brown's, just a post on sharing information here on an event that she did. It's pretty small, but we have testimonials on our website for Heal the Sick that talk about the health ministry stories. So if you go to Facebook and go to Wesley Theological Seminary, Heal Sick, these are all the stories that we've collected over the years. So, and they're from people from all over. So we got probably about 10 or 12 in the archives here. And that's in the, if you go here and click on more to videos, this is our most recent one from a student from Seattle, Washington. So, okay. So keep inspiring all of us, okay? Keep doing what you're doing. Share the love.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for all the great wisdom and I don't know, ideas. All the way you tie it together for the past 3 trainings has been really valuable. And you always see a connection that I didn't think of or anything like that. So thank you for your great facilitation.
Thank you. You're welcome. Appreciate that.
I thought you just like closed your eyes and went to sleep for a second.
No, it's been a long day for me too. So,
Oh, yeah. These Thursdays.
Walking to the park with a dog before dinner will definitely do that. I had a snack, but you know, so. And remember to take a break, everyone. I know many of you are rushing around, but remember to breathe. And you could tell with your breath of when you're getting rushed or whatever. Please pause, and it that's so real. That's one thing that I've learned. But I'm like, just like Robin said, you know, he caught me kind of closing my eyes, wrapping up.
Awesome. All right. Well, good night, everyone. Thank you for your attendance and all, you know, all the work that you do for your churches, for your families, for your friends. Like, you all are what build community. So we like to see those communities even healthier.
Thank you. Take care, you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, good night.
We're here, so let us know. Okay? All
Okay.
right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Merit blessings.
Good night.